Hey, Arc Boba Fett. Danger Zone 669, aka Muglord, my mug brother. How are y'all doing today? Butterfly in the sky. I can fly twice as high. Take a look. It's in a book. Reading a girl. Oh my god. Yes. I did not see that coming at the end. Reading a girl. Dude, that's going in the title. That's a gold star, Muglord. That's a gold star. That's my mug brother, everybody. Never ceases to amuse me, impress me, or all around just, hey. See, so yes, we are back with Steins Gate. Last year I checked out Steins Gate and I loved it. It was not what I was expecting. I had heard great things about it, and I think so many of my friends are like, yo dude, don't sleep on this, you gotta like check it out. And then I did some research and I'm like, oh, it's a game. Well, I could do that with the stream. And then just completely got absorbed by everything Steins Gate. So let's check this out. We're gonna go full anime. It's like I never left. It's like I never stopped reading this glorious tale. Hey, hey, Abyssal Lech. I'm already intrigued. Yes. Oh, man. Steins Gate is... it never ceases to amuse me. It's very similar in that regard to my mug brother. Let's see, I think it's just going to loop the opening. That was a hell of an opening. So this... Again... I'm going in spoiler free. I know this is like a very old game or visual novel. I say game. Visual novels are a game technically. I want to say 2008, 2012. It's of that era, that time frame. But it's like huge. This thing is like Omega level popular. Everyone and their grandma has watched, read, seen. Bought tickets to Steins Gate, the Broadway musical. It's a science fiction romance story. So the perfect time for February for me to play. I think I played the first Steins Gate last year around this time for Valentine's. But this is like a technically a sequel, but also I don't know. It's hard for me to. It was hard enough for me to wrap my mind around the first Steins Gate. There's like so much knowledge, terminology thrown at you. Let me just config some stuff, and then we'll begin. So let's see. First thing I want to do is... How's the game audio, you guys? Too loud? Not loud enough? Am I coming through okay? I lowered it just a bit. Okay. So let's see. Tips. Sure, that seems good. How do I go to my configuration? Oh, page, duh. Alright. So I'll be reading the roles of everybody, which is... God, it's been a while. Including others, male and female. You can think of it as a one Echo show. But we have Okabe, Mayuri, Daru. Wow, you're streaming early. Stephens, hey! Yeah. It proved to be very popular the Saturday morning, my time. So I'm continuing it. Moika, Luca, Ferris, if only Cheetah was here, Suzuha, Nay, two different voices, Maya, oh, I think I did do different voices, I tried, it'll be like Kong Pao, just, not trying to ruin a great work of literature, as they say. Message speed. I can compromise. We'll go right in the middle. Even though I want to go max, we'll go right in the middle. That's about the mode. Keep it mode. I don't know about this message send feature. Do I need it? Let's see. I think this is the optimal setup. Optimal setup. All right. New game. So, well, let's see. We might watch the anime opening again. Oh, good. Okay. Death. Full disclosure, this is spoiling the ending of the first one, which I did do a full read-through, and you can find it on my YouTube archive channel. I'll have links to that later. Actually, I have a link to that full read-through in the Discord. I got all the endings, and then I got the Wayne's World ultra happy ending. So we're going to try to do the Wayne's World perfect ending here again. They're branching storylines, so this could end multiple different ways. Again, I have notes of like important things to do, so we get a 100% run first playthrough. I will be using time travel to save myself the hassle of doing one playthrough, starting over, doing another playthrough, starting over. Shouldn't be that hard. From what I've heard, it's not. There's a lot of things that are very important or crucial to Steins Gate to get the Wayne's World ultimate fairy ending. This one, not so much. So that's less work for me. I would prefer to read without all my cliff notes. So I have just a few things. But yeah. Let's see. The hatch opened. Bright light flooded my eyes. Where was I? My eyes narrowed. I could barely make out the summer's twilight sky. I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to disappear. But someone grabbed my arm and dragged me out. Oh god, Daru. And then I remembered I did like a whoa! He's back already. It hasn't even been a minute, has it? Ocarine! I didn't have the energy to respond to my own nickname. I fell to the ground and wrapped my arms around myself. Ocarine! Mayuri ran to me and looked down, her face worried. Her kindness felt like nothing but a nuisance. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. Wait, you're covered in blood. What happened? Dad, get me a towel and water. Oh, and clothes, now. Huh? Can someone please tell me what's going on? Just do it now. Okay. Daru ran to the door that led back inside the building. Ocarine, are you okay? Hang in there. Don't die, please. It's fine. He's not hurt. Stop it. Get away from me. Leave me alone. Wouldn't save her. In fact, I killed her myself. Right here, 3 weeks ago. I killed her. I'm a murderer. Didn't work. No matter what we do, it's not going to work. It's all been decided already. It's the same as it was with Mayuri. No matter how hard I try, it'll all end up the same. No matter how many times I try, it will all converge back to the same result. The process doesn't matter. Whether you're time travel or time leap, you can't go back and change the results of the past. I thought I understood that cruel truth. Now I was forced to realize it again, and in the worst possible way. It's useless. Useless! It's all useless! I knew it. I can't save Kurisu. I knew this. I already knew this would happen. I'm so tired. I haven't rested in so long. I'm done. Ocarine, what happened? Absent Cell, welcome to the stream. You're just in time for reading Ego to when Steins Gate Zero. I killed her. I killed her. I'm an idiot. It's all my fault. He killed Kurisu Makase? Killed? That can't be true. It can't. Don't worry, you've got enough for one more attempt. Leave me alone. No matter how many times I try, it'll all end up the same. What are you saying? Are you going to give up? Billions of lives depend on you, Uncle Ocarine. Who cares if you fail once? There's just no way to save Kurisu. You can't stop the world line convergence. That's the reality of this world. I learned that a long time ago. I'll just have to slap some sense into him. Hey, Abyssal Lich. Thank you for forcing a subscription on another viewer. You can't. It's not right to force him to do this. I can't bear to see Ocarine like this. If he doesn't, the future won't change. Why? Why does Ocarine have to change the future all by himself? That's too much for him to bear. Because Uncle Ocarine has the powers of an observer of the world. Ocarine didn't want that. And I think even if he tried, he'd just get hurt again. It's impossible for one person to change the world all by themselves. And that's why Steins Gate is... I know how you feel, but I'm here for the sake of the future. I can't go back to 2036 either way, so I'm not going to give up so easily. Uncle Ocarine, I'll tell you one thing. This time machine has a finite amount of fuel. At first, I told you that it could only be used to go there and back twice, but that's actually a little more fuel than that. Even so, it can only travel about 344 days. Even if you do a one-way trip less than a year from now, you won't be able to reach July 28. Remember this. When that day comes, I'll go myself if I must. Someone was saying something to me. Couldn't understand the words. I didn't want to listen to anything. I just wanted to sleep. Just let this all end. Just let me go. Ocarine. Ocarine, hey. Ocarine. You don't have to push yourself so hard anymore, okay? It's okay to cry, Ocarine. Yushi's here for you, okay, Ocarine? I don't know if Mayuri's words were the reason why, but the tears started to flow. I decided to forget everything. Ever since that day, I stopped going to the Future Gadget Lab. Absolute zero. Everyone watches at their own peril of being force subscribed. It's true, Pistolage. Alright. UPX, the new symbol of Akihabara, was located right in front of the station. In the hall on the 4th floor, preparations have been going on all morning for the ATF Akihabara Technoforum convention. Universities and labs from both inside and outside the country would work together to put on special seminars and symposiums at irregular intervals. My school, Tokyo Denki University, was participating as part of its industry collaboration efforts. Students were required to attend these seminars and submit reports to their instructors. The greed. Otherwise, they wouldn't get credit for their related classes. In addition, I was supposed to help one of the lecturers, Associate Professor Izuki. I had just gotten a list from the reception desk at the shared lobby. I was waiting to check off the names of students who were coming to the lectures. There was still some time before the seminar started, so the lobby was mostly empty. None of the students on the list were here yet. I was bored, but I couldn't do anything but wait. Yes, that was my new goal. Izuki did a lot of joint research projects with them. I knew a lot of people there. The best first step to getting there, my brain could come up with was being his assistant. Also, this convention was holding another seminar by Victor Condria University. For the one held this summer? Of course, that interested me too. Summer. An image of her as she was flashed through my mind. I was trying to get to Victor Condria so that I could learn about the work that Kurisu Makase had been doing. I wanted to try to do it myself. Of course, I wasn't a genius like Kurisu. I knew there was no way I'd ever be able to do exactly what she did. But if I could do even 10% of it... Honestly, I'm amazed that I've recovered so well. I thought to myself and chuckled, just as a voice called to me from across the lobby. Excuse me? Ah, new character. I looked up and saw a young girl approaching from the elevator hall. She was short and petite. Everything about her was small. I could kind of make out a few of her curves that don't appear until after puberty, so at least she wasn't in elementary school, but maybe middle school? For someone with such a cute face, she clearly didn't care about her appearance. Her hair wasn't styled and it flowed down her back. Even I could tell her clothes weren't very fashionable. Excuse me, where's the staff room? This is the ATF seminar. Clearly not a place where a middle school girl belonged. She'd probably just come to the wrong place. I know that. How many times am I gonna have to say this? This is the first time you've said it to me. And you're the first person I've said it to since I got here. Irritated, she pulled a card out of her jacket. It was one of the IDs given out to invited guests. Her name and the name of her workplace were written on the front. Huh? Akebaro Technoforum. USA Brain Science Institute. Maho Hiyaho. Hihajo. Victor Condra University, USA Brain Science Institute. Victor Condra University, USA Brain Science Institute. I looked at the card and then at her, then back at the card, then I looked at her again. I finally realized. Oh, so that's it. I find this card. Thanks for bringing it back. I've done that 3 times already too. She sighed and showed me another card. One was a photo ID from Victor Condra University. A what? The same ID I seen Kurisu holding before on another world line. The photo on the card, yeah, that was definitely her. Maho Ihaho. That's my name. Maho Ihaho. I'd say it to you now, because no one's ever been able to read it right. Not in Japanese or English. Or me. And you're from Victor Condra University Middle School? Stop messing around. Universities don't have middle schools. That's true. Then you skipped a bunch of grades? Unlike in Japan, it wasn't uncommon for Americans to skip grades. Kurisu had made it to university at age 17. But still, a girl this young working in a university lab? Can I ask you something? Sure. You're feeling pretty shocked right now, right? Let me guess. A small child like this. I can't believe it, right? Or are you one of the she must be amazing to be able to do that at her age types? She got me. Look here closely. The girl, Maho Hiho, pointed to the part of ID with the slender fingers. It was born in 1989, and it was 2010, so... You're 21 years old? In other words, I'm an adult woman. I'm not in middle school, and of course, not in elementary school or daycare either. And then she puffed out her chest. There wasn't much to see, but I could imagine her saying they look bigger when I'm not wearing clothes. They're huge! Ah, the humor is always intact. Adult trope. You got it, absent cell. What's that look supposed to mean? Oh no, sorry, I apologize. I couldn't believe it. She was older than me. Legal Loli! For the win. I might have to look that up for science later. If Daru was here, he'd be dancing around screaming, Legal Loli for the win! Ah, Daru. It doesn't matter. I guess I got the same thing all around the world, no matter where I go. Yeah, I'm sure. Did you say something? No, I didn't. Still, the Brain Science Institute. That's where Kurisu worked. Which means this kid, no, this person, might know a lot about Kurisu. I held back the impulse to start badgering her with questions. I looked at the pamphlet with the seminar schedules. Victor Condra's lecture was the last one of the day. It was clearly intended to be the biggest. Was this Maho Hiho girl going to leave a lecture? Just like Kurisu had done at the summer convention. No, wait, that's wrong. That never happened. Kurisu Makase never gave any lectures over the summer. That happened in the Alpha World Line. The world line I inhibited now. Before the summer convention, she'd already... Are you giving the lecture today? Nah, I'm here as an assistant. Oh, and translator too. I looked at the pamphlet again and saw that the lecturer was a man named Alexis Leskinen. Alexis Leskinen. A professor at Victor Contra University and the chief researcher at the Brain and Science Institute. The topic is the artificial intelligence revolution. Huh? Yeah, it sounds interesting. If you've got the time, I'd love for you to come listen. I will. Oh, the staff room, right? I lead Maho over to the elevator hall and showed her where the staff room was. Thanks. I had no reason to hang around her any further. I said goodbye and was just about to turn around. Just then, the elevator opened. A woman emerged. The instant I saw her face, every hair in my body stood on end. Oh, it's the traitor! Ex-traitor. Moika. Kiryu. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. Calm down. This is the Beta World line. Yuri is alive. Moika's not going to kill her. Don't betray me or my son ever again. You got it, Absent Cell. Our eyes met. The eyes on the other side of her glasses were as dead as ever. It was impossible to tell what she was thinking. I frantically averted my gaze before she realized something was wrong. She tilted her head for a second, but quickly lost interest in me and turned towards Maho. You're with the magazine, right? I'm here about that interview. Even in this world line, Moika still only spoke in faint whispers. Dr. Leskinen isn't here yet. Maybe a minute. Okay. If you want, I can go over the system until he gets here. Thank you. The two of them disappeared into the staff room. As I watched them leave, I took a deep breath. Tried to calm down, but it wasn't working. Moika, Kiryu, is it going to be you again? It was a terrible feeling, like a cold finger tracing the wounds in my heart. That night, when the terrorist threat shut down all the trains in Akihabara. That awful night, when I just knew something was going to happen. Are you going to do it again here? Or was I just imagining things? Was she just a magazine reporter now instead of a CERN rounder? No, even if Moika was a rounder, we had nothing to do with CERN anymore. CERN wouldn't be watching us. Evil organization, bent on using time travel for nefarious uses. I took another deep breath, grabbed some of the anxiety meds in my pocket, swallowed them down with some mineral water I'd bought ahead of time. It'd take 15 minutes for them to kick in. Those 15 minutes were always pretty rough. I laughed at myself a little and sat down on one of the reception desk chairs. The table was filled with leaflets, pamphlets, and other things for the attendees. Horrible program. Oh, you got it, Absent Cell. My eyes wandered to one of the pamphlets. Nakabachi Theory, the Genealogy of Pseudoscience. This pamphlet was for Professor Izuki's seminar. Nakabachi Theory. The paper he'd announced in Russia. Beta blockers, cough syrup is where it's at. Oh yeah. Quick drink of water. The paper held the key to creating a real time machine. On that day, July 28th, Nakabachi had stolen the paper from Kurisu, his own daughter, and left with it. I knew that. Only Nakabachi and I knew that. I flipped through the pamphlet. It was a brief introduction to many forms of pseudoscience and fake scientific discoveries that emerged since the start of the 20th century. On its own, it did make for an interesting reading. At the end of the pamphlet, Nakabachi Theory was introduced as nothing more than another entry in that long list of fakes. So, Dr. Nakabachi's time machine theory had been completely ignored by the academic world. All the glory, fame, and power he'd wanted so badly that he was willing to get rid of his own daughter? He didn't get any of it. I'd heard rumors that after the announcement he'd been imprisoned in a Russian lab. To make it even funnier, he thought he was getting VIP treatment. For a short time, there were essays and interviews in bogus academic journals. Even there, it was obvious it had all gone to his head. The ironic thing was that Nakabachi theory was completely correct and completely revolutionary. The Russian government was worried about it leaking, and the SVR was doing everything it could to keep it under wraps. But under the surface, there was a full-scale information war beginning over the paper. The time traveler from 2036, John Teeter, had told me so, which meant it had to be true. Was World War III really going to happen? There was no point in thinking about it. A little more before the drugs kicked in. Closed my eyes. Now it's all about them drugs. Uh-oh. Several hours later. The convention was going well. After Professor Isukai's seminar, most of the students from my university went home, but I killed some time and came back. I wanted to hear the Victor Condria lecture. I headed to the hall with plenty of time to spare, and saw Maho Ihaho coming from the staff room. It was with a very tall foreigner. Was that Alexis Lexicon? It didn't seem like an American name. Maybe he was an immigrant like Kurisu, or at least descended from one. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. The look on their faces were so serious that I couldn't help but listen. They were both speaking in English. I could barely make out any of it, but I could tell from their voices that it wasn't a pleasant chat. Wait, did I just hear the word makase? I hated the fact that I couldn't speak English. If I'd known this was going to happen, I would have gone to an English school. The two of them walked into the waiting room for lectures. It was located right next to the UPX theater. Together the few fragments I was able to understand. Fire at Kurisu's house. Mrs. Makase is alright. Robbery. The police called off the investigation. Why was the FBI there? It doesn't make sense. That's what they were saying. Kurisu's house? Do they mean where she lived in America? She should still live in America. Is that where the fire was? And then words like robbery. The investigation was called off. I really wanted to know more. I stood there worried until it was time for the lecture to begin. With nothing else to do, I went inside the theater. I could tell earlier by looking at the size of the crowds going inside, but it was a very high-energy crowd. The atmosphere was clearly different from Isukai's seminar, which was mostly students there for credit. The place was nearly full with a crowd of scientists and people who wanted to learn about cutting-edge technology. Victor Condria's researchers had published a slate of papers in Science recently, and she had gotten a list of media attention. Maybe that was why. Were there any empty seats? I found a single open seat at the edge. When I looked at who was sitting next to it, I moaned. You again. Boika Kiryu was there. She was speaking to no one, just typing endlessly into her phone. Once named her Shining Finger because of her incredible typing speed. She was as fast as ever. Who was she talking to? I want to imagine. I quickly turned away and looked for another seat. Dr. Leskinen reached the podium almost the exact instant I sat down. There was a huge wave of applause. And when they saw the tiny little girl come up next to him, and the applause faded into confused murmurs. Maho must have expected this. Her expression didn't change in the slightest as she stood next to the professor. In fact, when she took the microphone from the professor and looked around the theater, she looked like it belonged there. Ladies and gentlemen, first, Dr. Leskinen began to speak in English. When he made eye contact with Maho, she began to interpret. Everyone, thank you for coming to my seminar. My name is Alexis Leskinen, and I'm with Victor Condria University's Brain Science Institute. My specialty is brain signal processing systems and artificial intelligence theory. And I am his assistant, Maho Hihaho. I'm also a researcher at the Institute, working under the professor. I'm glad to meet you all. The audience started murmuring again. It's the same way I responded when I met her. Well, that'll happen, yeah. I'd like to get right into it by introducing some of the cutting-edge research we're doing. The topic we're discussing today is the artificial intelligence revolution, but I think the system we're going to demonstrate today goes beyond anything you've ever imagined. Dr. Leskinen stood in front of the laptop that had been placed on the podium and started to type. This computer is linked to one of the supercomputers in our labs. Oh, don't turn on the projector just yet. One of the staffers was about to display the laptop screen on the front projector. Some kind of important program must have been booting up because Maho Yiho stopped them. Sorry, the stuff isn't complete yet. The screen's filled with programs that aren't very pretty to look at. I'd rather let you see me naked than let you see these lousy programs. Legal loli! Legal loli! Moving on. If there are any engineers in the audience today, you know what I'm talking about, right? For the win. Engineers? Where's nothing when you need him? I'm an engineer. Where's Jeff? We need him. He's an engineer. Some of the audience got the professor's joke and laughed. While it's booting up, I'll go over the basic idea of the system. Well, I'm friends with one. Touche, Absencel, touche. There was another projector in the center of the stage. A diagram appeared on its screen. And at the top of the diagram was a Japanese translation for the general audience. An analysis of neural pulse signals relating to memories stored in the temporal lobe. Ugh. Knew that title well. In fact, I was so sure I could never forget it. It was the title of an essay written by a 17-year-old genius and published in Science. She had completely analyzed the nerve impulse patterns that govern human memory and used that to digitize the memories themselves into data. She had used that to invent the time leap machine right in front of my eyes. Though, none of that actually had happened anymore. This paper appeared in Science, so I'm sure some of you have seen it before. This theory was proposed and finalized by a brilliant Japanese member of our team. Human memories are stored in the cerebral cortex, particularly the temporal lobe. They're a lot like flash memory. The part of the brain that reads and writes this flash memory is called the hippocampal gyrus. Dr. Leskinen pointed to the diagrams of the brain and the hippocampus on the screen. The brain functions by sending electrical signals between cells called neurons. Memories are actually just a transmission of these electrical signals, and it's the hippocampal gyrus that controls them. In other words, memories are created by passing electrical signals in and out of the hippocampal gyrus. Hey, Yen boy, you're just in time. We are reading a most excellent story about science. Maybe about love, I don't know. Also, you missed the legal loli. Lolis are legal. Or is it legal or the lolis? Either way, moving on. Science. Oh yeah. I kinda hate science. Well, we'll see. It's only been science for a little bit. So, Kurusu Makase. The Japanese scientist who wrote this paper. Miss Makase came up with an idea. Electrical signals, signal patterns, the cerebral cortex. Okay, well, like the three main sciences, like biochem, physics. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We'll see how much of that is in here. Maho started to have trouble with her interpreting. She was getting confused. No matter how good you were with languages, interpreting for a long period of time had to be difficult. I once read an article on the internet that said even a professional can't do it for more than 20 minutes. International conferences and live broadcasts from overseas were actually handled by a team of people switching off. Maybe. Was she having trouble because Kurisu's name came up? Dr. Leskinen saw she was having trouble and cut himself off.
すみません。
I'm sorry.
マキセ研究員は
Miss Makase focused on the pattern of electrical signals going in and out of the hippocampal gyrus. Only 20 minutes? If that's real, I didn't know that. I'm more than willing to assume it's real. There's a lot of the stuff that's real. A lot of it's science theory, but a lot of it is science fact.
そのパターンが
By analyzing the pattern, she was able to get complete data on which memory in the cerebral cortex it corresponded to. This created the basic theory that lets us take the vague analog thing we call memories and turn it into a digital combination of electrical signals. The result was her paper, which appeared in Science. And right now, our team is using that theory to create a system to turn a person's memories into digital data. A wave of whispers swept across the theater. Those were the whispers. We heard them. Which means we can store and access a human's memories on a computer. Which is technically true. We can actually do this today. The whispers turned into a loud roar. Roar. I see. So even after her death, Kurisu's research was being carried on? Of course, maybe it was natural that it would be. It was the basic theory for time leaping, which I had proved myself, even if I could never prove it to anyone else in the Alpha World line. My memories had been turned into data and stored on a computer. There was no doubt about that. What Dr. Leskinen was talking about right now was the basic technology required for that process. There are two major projects we're working on right now. One uses the system for medical applications. Slide on the projector changed. This project is a joint effort with the Psychophysiology Lab. The idea is to use the hippocampal gyrus to put the memory stored on a computer back into the brain. Incredible! Someone who looked like a grad student in the front row shouted. Dr. Leskinen didn't seem particularly put off by the interruption. Maho continued her interpretation. Incredible, huh? I can understand how you feel. I would feel the same way in your position. But we feel this research is making real progress. How wonderful would it be if we could make this work? One example would be memory problems caused by aging or Alzheimer's. This would be a form of symptomatic therapy. We could automatically back up the patient's memories as data. That's actually a really good idea. Even if the patient loses their memories, they could just go to their PC and reinstall them. We think this would be a way to stop memory loss. In the end, we hope to make memory data stored on your PC constantly accessible via the hippocampal gyrus. This would mean that if brain functionality was lost, for example, if the brain was badly damaged or atrophied, Frollo! My doo-doo data is preventing me to watch, but I can type. I just want to say I shall be back in 4 days. Anyways, peace out. Have a good stream. Ah, Frollo. Alright. Well, Steins Gate will be continuing. I can't wait to see you in 4 days. Take care, Frollo. I don't know if you can even hear me, but let it be known. Moving on. Brain functionality could still be maintained. It would be like a form of external storage. A strange feeling gripped the hall. Part of it was shock and the feeling that there was witnessing the announcement of an incredible technology. Part of it was skepticism that a system like this could ever actually work. Part of it was revulsion at the idea of playing around with a human brain like that. An excitement born of all these things passed from one member of the crowd to another. Dr. Leskinen raised his hand to encourage questioners.
どうやら2つ目のプロジェクトをお話しする前に質問を受け付けないといけないようですね。
It looks like I need to take questions before we move on to the next project.
できる範囲でお答えします。どうぞ。
That's weird. I'll answer anything I can. Go ahead. My hands were raised as my dog barked. I could tell that there was a wide age range of people interested. Both young and old were raising their hands. Dr. Leskinen pointed to a questioner. Doggo bark. Oh my god, that dog is exactly how my dog looks. That's a gold star. What are the chances? What are the chances? My psychic abilities strike again. I know. Yep, that's my dog, alright. Wow, what are the chances of that? Yes! Alright. Now that I've been shocked by Yenbai's psychic abilities, moving on. Dr. Leskinen pointed to a questioner. This was the first question. Sampling would be required when digitizing analog memories. Does that mean any information would be lost? The professor nodded as he listened to the question in Japanese and began to respond in English when the speaker finished. Maybe he was able to understand Japanese if not speak it.
その質問を言い換えると
To put your question another way,
オーケストラの生
you're
演奏を
saying that when you're saying a
ラ
live
ブのデータに
recording of
保
an
存する
orchestra
際
as a WAV
生
file,
演奏のすべてを
it's
完
impossible
璧
to
に記録
record
することは
everything?
できないと確かにその
That's a
懸
good
念はあ
question,
ります
and it's one of the biggest problems
現在の
facing our
研究
research
で
right now.
最も困難な問題の一つです脳内のネットワ
If
ー
the
クが
network within the brain consisted simply of neurotransmitters turning on and off, that is, exchanging binary data,
二進数的にデータのやり取りをしているのであれば簡単な問題でしたそれはデ
that
ジ
would
タ
be
ル
the
データ
exact
と同じ
same
こと
thing
だ
as
か
a
らで
computer's
す
digital data.
しかし実際には
But we know that
伝達物
neurotransmitters
質
and
や電
electrical
気信
signals
号は
form an
脳
analog
内
network
でアナロ
within
グ
the
的に
brain.
変化することがこの問題に関して
The
は
only way we have to deal
今
with
の
this
ところ
problem right now
より
is to
高い
sample
サン
at
プ
a
リン
higher
グレート
rate.
でデータをサンプルする方法音楽の話で言えば
Continue our music example. Instead of sampling at 44, 1 kilohertz,
48kHz
1 kilohertz, we'd sample at 48 kilohertz.
よ
And
りも
instead of 48 kilohertz, we'd use
96kHz で
96
サンプリングす
kilohertz.
るといった具合それによって
This
デ
allows
ジ
us
タ
to
ルであり
recreate
ながら
something very
アナ
close
ロ
to the
グデータ
original
に近
analog
い情
data
報を得
digitally.
ようとしています
Little by little, the mood in the room was turning to disappointment. People were beginning to wonder if this was just a pretty theory that wouldn't work in reality. More questions came. All the questioners were skeptical of the professor's theory, and many of them seemed to be outright challenging him. I started to get upset. Dr. Leskinen's research, but it was also Kurisu's. I knew better than anyone that it worked, and the sight of so many people refusing to give it a chance infuriated me. Are these people really scientists? I tried to keep myself under control and looked back towards the podium. Was she mad? Certainly looked disappointed. Dr. Leskinen was very polite with the rude questioners, acknowledging the problems with the theory. She was very different. Her anger was starting to seep into her interpreting too. And I felt a kinship with her. The question and answer session continued. From a medical standpoint, this is just reckless. It's absolutely impossible to rewrite digital data back into the brain. It's insane. I read the essay in Science, and I have to say, I don't believe it. Especially since the lead author was a 17-year-old girl. Oh no. Oh no. That was the one thing I couldn't ignore.
あなたね。
Listen. Objection!
あ
What? The two people on the stage and the entire audience all turned toward me at once. How do you know it won't work when you haven't even tried? The world's full of technologies that people never thought would work. But they exist now because people overcame those problems. Criticism alone doesn't help anything. The whole theater went silent. I didn't regret standing up.
あなた。
You. The stage. Mao Hiao was staring at me in shock. Dr. Leskinen saw a flash of white teeth as our eyes met. Awesome. He's really something. He started to applaud. Huh? Why was he applauding? This makes things embarrassing. Yeah, boy, coming in with the slow clap.
素晴らしい。彼
Awesome.
はなかなか大したやつだ。
He's really something, the
This-
professor says. Maho translated the professor's words for me to hear.
ただし、科学者たるもの
A
常に冷
scientist must
静で
remain
なければ
calm
いけな
at
い。
all times.
大声で怒鳴っていいの
The
は
only time when you're allowed
実
to
験が
yell
成功した
is
時
when
の
your experiment succeeds and you say,
We did it!
We did it! Exactly like that. It's the only time I can yell.
それだけで十分。だそう
And
で
that was
す
a
よ。
petite yell from a petite person. Legal loli. Moving on. Yeah! We did it! That's all you need, he says. I'm sorry. I lowered my head and sat down. I thought I was calm, but I guess I let my emotions get away from me. I hadn't grown up at all in these past 6 months. If Kurisu were here, she'd make fun of me again. Feel the rest of the audience staring at me coldly. It hurt. If I could have left, I would have wanted to, but I was too interested in hearing the rest of Dr. Leskinen's talk to move.
それでは皆さん、そろそろ次
Alright,
に。
everyone. Moving on. Yeah, that's what I
で
say.
も、その前に
But
勇
first,
敢な彼に拍手をお願いし
How
ま
about a
す。
round of applause for our brave audience member? Oh no, please, no.
彼のような挑戦者こそが
Challengers like
科学
him
を進
are
歩
the
さ
ones
せ、
who advance
あっ
science
と
and come
驚
up
く
with
よ
the
うな理
really
論を
amazing
作り上げる
theories.
のです。彼ならきっと
He may be
第三
capable
の
of
アインシ
becoming
ュタ
the
インに
third
なれるかもしれ
Einstein.
ませんね。
The third?
ちなみに第
By
二
the
のア
way,
インシュタ
the
イン
second
は
Einstein is my
こ
little
こにい
assistant
る
here.
ちょっと小うるさい私の助手。変なこと言うのはやめてください、教授。
Stop messing around, Professor. The audience chuckled. Sheesh.
さて、ここで私はしばらく通訳をお
Yes,
休
young
みさ
boy.
せて
The
いただきます。
third. Einstein the Third. Has a nice ring to it. Just not as good as the second. Now then, I'm going to take a break from interpreting.
これから
The next
私よりも
interpreter
優
is
秀
far
な
better
通
than I
訳が
am.
登場します。これが私たち
This
の
is
チ
our
ームが
second project, and
今
the
最
one
も
we're putting
力を
most
入
of our
れている
efforts
2
toward.
つ目のプロジェクト
Proyecto.
アマデウスシステ
Oh
ムで
my
す。
god. It's a stream chan. A ginormous stream chan. The Amadeus system. I mean, yeah, that. When she finished speaking, Maho walked to the back of the stage. Dr. Leskinen signaled the PC screen was displayed on the projector. Then I heard a voice.
皆さん、初めてお目にかかります。
Nice to meet you, everyone. The murmuring got louder than before. It felt more uncertain than surprised. On the screen, I could see a detailed 3D model of Maho, the girl who'd just been interpreting.
ちなみにこれは
By the way,
映画などで有名な
this model was
ド
made
リン
by
ク
the
ワーク
famous
ススタジオに
DrinkWorks
撮影しても
Studios.
らったモデルです。
You've probably seen their movies. Oh, you know it. It's DrinkWorks all day, every day. Maho Hyaho chimed in from the back of the stage.
声については
The
私
voice
の
was
ボイ
done
ス
by
サ
a
ンプルを
Japanese
データベー
company.
スにして日本
Yamana,
の
using
山
the
名が
voice
作ってくれま
samples.
した。
This was CG? Sure looked real to me. Professor said something into the laptop's microphone. And then the 3D model of Maho Hyaho on the screen opened its mouth.
私はヒヤジョウマホです。正確に言うなら78時間22分前のヒヤジョウマホから派生した存在ということになります。
Steins Gate was ahead of the times. Steins Gate was ahead of the times. Confirming it now. The Maho Hyaho, to be precise. I'm a being based on the Maho Hyaho who existed 78 hours and 22 minutes ago. If you listen carefully, you might be able to hear something slightly off. But it sounded far more human than any artificial voice I'd ever heard.
先ほどから皆さんの質問を
I've
聞か
been
せていた
listening
だい
to
てい
your
ました。
questions.
教授はどうして
And I
私を
was
早く
wondering
紹
why
介
the
しない
professor
のか
didn't introduce me
と
earlier.
てももどかしく思っていましたよ。以前から感じていまし
I've
た
thought
が
for a while that the
どうも教
professor has a
授
bit
は
of
人
a
が
mean
悪
streak
いよ
in
うで
him.
すね。まったくだわ。
Got that right. The Maho Hyaho on the screen spoke with a slightly irritated expression. In the Maho Hyaho, learn to speak Japanese. Hyajo for the wall noted in agreement. Dr. Leskinen simply smiled. What was going on here? What part of this was their biggest project? The rest of the audience didn't seem to have any more of a clue than I did.
皆さんの多くは疑問に思
Many
って
of
い
you are
ます。
wondering
人間の記憶をデー
whether
タと
it's
して取
possible
り
to
出したり
extract a human's memories as data, save them, and use them.
さらにはそんなことが本当
You're
に可能
wondering
な
if
のか
that's
と
really something we can do.
それでは私
So I'll
は
put
一
this
体何
question
で
to
しょう
you.
か。
If not, what am I?
私は78
I'm
時
based
間
off data
23
that was
分前の
extracted
ヒヤ
from
ジョウマ
Maho.
ホの脳内から
Maho's
取り
brain
出された記
78 hours
憶を
and
持ち、
23 minutes ago.
そのデータをベースにして動いている
What
の
did
で
she
す。
just say? The professor said something else in rapid English and asked the Maho on the screen to translate it. But if she was the right word, hesitated and went silent. I looked at the real Maho. She was responding exactly the same way.
教授、今のは
Professor, is it alright if...
教授、今の発言はセクシャルハラスメントとして大
Professor,
学に
is
訴え
it
てもい
alright
い
if
で
I
しょうか。
report that sexual harassment to university? Sexual harassment? Moving on. Dr. Leskinen laughed cheerfully and responded to her. Okay, Yen boy. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. You have a good rest of your morning. I'll catch you later. Perfect segue for a water break. Okay, so the conversation was in quick English. Over half the audience couldn't understand it. The real Maho side.